Hello and welcome to Warblog. I'm actually sitting here thinking about some of the older games, in particular this Battle of Kunduz. It's strange when you come back to them how you sort of can't remember anything about them, and I seem to recollect that this was actually, new in the news when it happened. So let's going back to 2015, or 29th of September 2015, which was just about sort of add up to when I was first doing these games. So I'm not really going to go through the intro, but I do feel like playing a lot of them because I think when I didn't do the videos for all of them, and furthermore, a lot has happened since. For example, bridges in this case. But also, when I did do the videos, I was sort of probably not at this stage, but sort of later on, I was renaming them like Desert War or something like that. I mean, I didn't know how YouTube worked, and I just kept getting these things that were saying your video has been demonetized. You can't run adverts on your money on this video because of its content. I mean, and it's got nothing to do with all this sort of monetization controversy going on at the moment. I mean, this was because it was war, and that was how it was, in 2015. So but the thing is, I thought I'd just go and play them because essentially, I mean, to some extent, I feel like reviewing and going back and doing other things, and sort of, I think just because the game was done 2 years ago doesn't mean it's any less playable, and so I do want to play it, but I think that what was I trying to say? Yeah. Essentially, there is a little benefit to some extent in having the videos in there with the proper keywords. So this is like the Battle of Kunduz. So I'm going to video it, give it the title Battle of Kunduz, and they do actually come up, I think. In theory. When people are looking in YouTube. I haven't really tried it, but that's sort of part of what I'm thinking about anyway. So I'm just going to play it. Now, it's a nice simple one. Essentially, in this scenario, I think the Taliban, because this is Afghanistan, and these are the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan troops. The Taliban have just taken Kunduz, and they forced these units back to the airport, and then the reinforcements come in and retake the city. I actually sort of remember it, so I'm going to sort of play it. To be quite honest, I don't think it's particularly challenging. So let's just see what we've got. I mean, you can sort of see how dated it is to some extent. Well, to some extent, you can see that it's got that first move restriction, so I'll have to go back into this actually and modify that, because he only had, see, he hasn't moved yet, he's only got one movement. That's because it was a glitch that happened a long time ago, so I'll have to sort of redo that. I mean, he's only got one movement as well. He might be able to move a bit faster being motorised, but no. Okay. That's not the end of the world. Now I know I can go and sort it out. Can't move anywhere. None of them can move. They just don't have the movement points. It's not a big problem. Okay, so we go to next turn, and to be quite honest, it's pretty clear that they're not going to win. Is there anything that they can do? I mean, they can't even attack. It's not as though they can sort of make headway into the airport, take out these special forces or these units. And you can see how sort of data it is, because these are sort of like battalions, and they've got sort of almost company strength. In more modern games, a company would have 2, 2, 3, etc., etc. So, how much movement has he got? He's got 3. Could probably do with reviewing this and adding some insurgents, some irregulars, to give them that sort of edge on the retreat there. However, there's a small potential of sticking these guys there. Okay. Okay, this is interesting actually. Okay. Right. I'm not going to move the motorised any further forward. But now that he's behind that river, it makes that advance a little harder. Here we've got an open road, which I did think before, just as I pressed the button, that I could send this other Taliban unit down here to sort of block there, and then leave one behind, and that would leave a sort of, at least a sort of a line of defence that would then have to be pushed back. But I think what that sort of opens up for now is this mechanised unit to sweep clear along the road to the edge of this rough. I mean, you can go further, go right up into there. In fact, could possibly swing that. That was me somehow double clicking on it. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure I couldn't replicate it. Come round and take the city out there. It's nice when the actual cameras move. The game I played yesterday was just so, you're waiting 30 seconds for it to move. It's very frustrating. Okay. Okay, well, that's good. Okay. I think that's a reasonable advance with one push here. Five to 1 and a DR. Depression's 2. Okay. No movement. No movement. No movement and no movement. So that's pretty much the end of the Afghanistan turn. The thing I like about this sort of game, or this game in particular, and games like it, is that I think it's pretty clear that it's not going to go well for the Taliban, and it didn't historically and understandably, but to some extent it's sort of understanding and playing in such a way to delay that. Now, if I had done what I'd wanted to move this unit down this road, I would have stopped this unit from getting this quick outflank. to some extent have stopped these units from advancing, because this motorised unit would have possibly been able to get across that river. By placing him on that road, although he was pretty much there anyway, I think I did move him, stop them from advancing up here, and I could be holding that ground there, and I've sort of let that slip. So that was sort of like a strategic error in what I did. I could have moved. There's no point in just leaving them there, because it's undefendable anyway. So I think in this game it could be, how could I have played that to delay the Afghanistani advance as much as possible. Because every time they attack, as they did there, they run the risk of losing, and every time they lose, they run the risk of losing the political will. And I think, although it's not in the gameplay, you can sort of almost imagine that, if that had been a standoff, that would have been a victory for the Taliban. They wouldn't have had to have won, but having a standoff would have been a victory for them. And every time they get that, then they get, in your third eye, so to speak, they get victory points, because they're going to lose anyway. We know that. It's just sort of how they lose is sort of, I think, the other side of the coin. Anyway, the Taliban turn, so they're going to sort of stay there. They're going to stay there. Now the question is, what do we do here? Do I try and get them out of it? Do I try and occupy that? Or do I try and move in there and block? Really undecided. Because I can move to there and to there and occupy these two hexes, which would then actually leave Kunduz empty, but that would stop these units from marching straight up and potentially taking that road. It's a bit like chess, you can do things and force certain things to happen. But if I just move there, you can move there, there and there, and escape that zone of control. If I just move there, this leaves this road open. So I think I'm going to actually do this. I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to make that decision. And that sort of does keep this protected, although to be quite honest, one of the things I realised a long time ago, I'm not only trying to admit this, I'm not very good at chess, and I'm not very good at these sorts of games, in the sense I don't really think that far ahead. It's been years ago since I realised I wasn't very good at them, and I think it's just a mental discipline. I like, people think, oh, you must be really good at these games. No, that's why I like playing alone, because I can lose as badly as I like when I play alone. I wouldn't say I was a bad loser, but I think maybe in the past I would have been, but I don't think I was aware of it. I think it's sort of, you get to the stage where you play and you make decisions, and then you take absolutely no so much personal glee in the outcome. But I don't know. I think in the past I would probably get quite frustrated if I lost, whereas now I really couldn't care. And if I played against another person, I'd almost like to lose so that the other person can gain the pleasure of winning, because it's all a bit, at my age, it doesn't matter anymore. But anyway, I think that's a good sort of position. But as I said, I haven't really thought so far ahead, because they might be able to come up here, take that, and then come up here and follow that up and move straight into Kunduz. I don't know. A lot of it comes down to where this unit would retreat if it was forced to retreat, because it's got two retreat options. I mean, if I was being attacked from there, I could go there or there. So really, I would have to sort of make sure somehow that I wasn't going to retreat to there. It's coming up to, it's actually coming up to 15 minutes. I'm not going to do another part of this. It sort of doesn't matter, because I mean, I think you get the game, you get the idea, and I could play this again and try it differently. And that's that sort of micro imagination, I think, and a micro sort of manoeuvring that just makes such a small game with such a small counter set so much more appealing than you might it might first appear. When you just look at it, it's sort of, well, it's clear they're going to lose, I should just stack them all up in there. But there are, sort of variants on how you can do these things. I mean, look at how many Afghanistan units there are. Anyway, it's just 18 minutes. It's my little tea break, and I do like to play them as tea breaks and not spend too much time. So, hope you enjoyed that. A little blast from the past, and I'll speak to you later. Cheers, bye.